You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and in today's episode, I'm talking about the best money-making strategies that we are implementing in 2023 with my good friend, Bria Gadd. So in this episode, we're going to be breaking down the things that made the biggest impact for us in 2022 and how that is shaping where we focus and what we put our time into in the upcoming year. So both of us have seen lots of things make an impact, but there were a couple of key things that made the biggest impact in the bottom line in our business. And what's kind of cool about it is that they were extremely similar. So you're definitely not going to want to miss this episode because we're going to make it super easy for you to also implement some of these best money-making strategies.
Hey coach, I finally have something that I've been dreaming of providing for you. I know that you definitely didn't start this business because you really felt like pestering your friends and family and getting ghosted by everyone. Chasing people down or having to follow up with them is definitely hard work, and it can feel so awkward and uncomfortable for everyone involved. But your upline probably told you that this is what successful people do, and they didn't mention to you that unless you're this superstar salesperson right off the bat, you're going to struggle forever if you keep doing it that old school way. 99% of coaches quit because they suddenly declare themselves this expert online and then go back and ask everyone who knew them to just start buying from them when they just started working out last week. And this problem applies to all network marketers, not just coaches. But the 1% that actually succeed have made it because they've caught on to a different system that's been proven to work. And it's just something that nobody really talks about. It's all about taking some simple steps to position yourself as an influencer first. So soon, instead of asking people to talk to you, you'll attract ideal customers who are already excited to learn from you and buy from you. They'll know exactly what you're about and how you can help them. Go to ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline to learn more and see exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to hunt people down and make them talk to you in order to get your bills paid for the rest of your life. Check out my short book called F What Your Upline Said and get an entirely different approach that will feel much more organic and authentic. That's ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline. I'm so excited for you to start implementing these 4 simple changes in your business and see how it absolutely transforms how you feel about your business and the results that you're able to get. Okay, yeah. So the big question is, what is happening in 2023 in terms of trends, things that are working in business, things that are, cutting edge, leading edge. So I'll share a little bit about what we've been noticing at the end of 2022. I was like, what year is it? Okay, 2022. Yes, that's where we're at. Okay, so one of the things we've really noticed is that we used to do like a ton of promotions and different things like that with our email list. And I've really noticed that there has been an increased demand for higher ticket items for sure in our course offering. I guess it would have been in August, July, sort of made the switch to what I'm going to invest my time in is more mastermind level and working more with a smaller group more intimately. And so I started, working with some amazing people in the network marketing space and the biggest thing that was missing that I was seeing this like kind of repeating pattern of was that they were missing their own signature offer. So it's like you could get to a certain point in network marketing, but then, it was like, okay, like progress is kind of stalling out, or I want to retire from network marketing and have something else. So I don't want to leave that income behind. What do I need to do? So that's when we started the mastermind. And that led me to, this was like an afterthought. I was like, I need to build a course that goes along with this. So I've released and opened the mastermind and then started building out the course to go along with it to teach people how to put together their signature offer so that they could essentially run ads and do it in a way that was effective, essentially. And then what we started finding is that a lot of the higher ticket offers, like, so Authentic Marketing Funnel, we put out a lifetime offer. So like pay once, get it just done for you for marketing for life. That seemed to really do well, which was quite a bit different than what we had first started with, a lot of low ticket offers and items. And I don't know if it was a combination of it being just different, that people had not seen it before. So it kind of freshened things up a bit, but definitely from a revenue standpoint as a business, like back in the days, we used to sell like $30 plans and, you would have to sell so many to hit like, a certain level. And this switch up is like, okay, so there's like a couple calls that you do and you can still hit those same levels. Now, obviously the delivery on product is different and stuff like that, but I would say that's a trend definitely that in 2023, we're seeing, like with the addition of those two offers, and then we've added a done for you funnel as well. So like we're completely building out people's funnels. I was hearing again, this was like a last minute thought. I was hearing from people on these mastermind calls that they're like, I just hate the tech. And I was like, oh, me too. I hate the tech. Like the worst part of it ever. And after hearing that enough times, I was like, you know what? Why don't we just start building out people's funnels for them? They'll submit all their deliverables and then we'll build it. So we've basically, this has been Bill's brainchild project sort of thing. He's been working with a developer in the Netherlands, and basically it would replace Kajabi, ClickFunnels, and your email service provider. Because we were like, you get all these bills, right? For these, we never used Kajabi or whatever, but our website was crashing all the time. And we were like, dang, we got to do something different. We could have, used Kajabi and ClickFunnels, but, by the time you pay.
ClickFunnels, I've learned now in my own experience, it's not full service the way Kajabi does. You still have to have an email service. So you end up paying so much more. Kajabi might be on the higher end for a, website situation, but it's a real one-stop shop. So I totally get why that's, like where some of that stuff is coming in. It's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it can be so like crazy expensive. So basically Bill was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to start working on any of these. Let's pick the most expensive one. And I'm going to we'll build out the software to do it for ourselves. So we don't have those reoccurring bills at the, each year. So we kind of started with cloud type stuff. I'd say that like in air quotes, because I don't really understand. Like, yeah, sure, they're on the cloud. Like, sure, storage is an issue or whatever. So that's where it kind of started from. And anyway, so done for you funnels, and then being able to provide the software that goes along with it so that you're not having to pay all those extra fees. So we're working on the email service provider portion right now, because our active campaign bill was like 10 grand a year. Something like that. So it was like, okay, this is sort of worth, like, if we invest 10 grand in building this out, it'll just continue to pay off and save. So so I would say that is probably one of the biggest tweaks we are making in 2023, is focusing more on what are the higher ticket and higher value offerings that help people more than just like, here's 30 posts.
Yeah, it's so funny. I would fully agree on what you're saying there, because, and I don't know that I nailed it as clearly in my mind, like as you just did right there. But I think it's because I'm actually finding it easier as well to sell people into like a larger one-on-one coaching offer than these small little bitty offers. And I'm wondering if that has more to do with a couple things. One, people know, like we're just so inundated with even like the Netflix and the HBO and the Hulu and like all these small little, like the death by 1,000 cuts, which we can never really maximize on because we're just so overwhelmed by everything that we never utilize it to the best of it. So we recognize that we're already spending all these little bites and not actually getting the progress that we want. And I think also maybe people are just really used to spending money online now, that it's not such a scary thing to invest in a larger piece, and they want that real belly to belly action, like you to me and me to you in sort of a mastermind or in, for me, I have private coaching and then I do live training with a semi-private coaching. So it's, like 8 people, 1 to 8, which is very similar to a mastermind, I guess, similar concept. And I just think, you and I were talking about this before as well. I think 2 things. One, I think that's what people are, they're ready to invest. They know. And then the other piece is that they know that when they invest, especially if it's an uncomfortable amount, they follow through, right? It's bigger accountability for us. When people invest in your large ticket items or mine, that's why all of our clients get results. It's because they have made this investment and they don't want to fail. And so they don't. It has a lot of mindset piece to it. I think the psychology behind it for people, right?
Yeah, it actually heard something, I think it was from Aaron Fletcher, actually, who, as we were chatting about earlier, has been someone that I've been diving into a lot of his material and courses. But he says that you have to be an expert marketer, like beyond expert, and have millions and millions of dollars to spend to focus on low ticket. It's actually easier to get a higher ticket product up and running, and the profitability is there sooner when you run like that versus trying to compete with all the other low ticket offers.
Yeah, interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah, because most people start out like in that way. They think, oh, well, if my product is really cheap, it'll be easier to get more people into that. And really, like it makes sense. You can deliver so much more value in the higher ticket scenario and not have to, try to cut through and be at that level where you're competing with everyone, where everything is commoditized at that point where people are just competing on price.
Yeah. And not to mention, like we recognize, like with TikTok videos and humanity, we kind of have, the attention span of a goldfish right now. So committing to something that's more in depth, more longer really helps us, like, I think, get deeper, dig down, drill down into the heart of our real issues, which has a lot to do with mindset for everyone. There's always a strategy needed, and that is what you're paying for. You want to make sure you're investing in someone who has the receipts, has proof and testimonials. But I think that's what helps them get down in there, is when they make that bigger investment and they get in there and they're getting the great strategy and the mental support and the accountability that comes along with it.
Did you just say when someone has the receipts?
Yeah.
Is it, did you coin that, or
No, I heard that from Tiffany Carter, who says that often. Did you hear someone?
No, it just reminded me, Bria, of your dad when he once said about every venture that you're on, like every job that you've ever had is like a savings account, and it just adds up. And so I was like, yeah, I'd coin that too, because it's brilliant.
That is.
You had the receipts
to remember that. Yeah. I mean, it's just true, right? Yeah. It's like proof, right? It's just another way of saying, I guess, testimonials, but things your parents say to you that get ingrained right all the way down deep, right?
I know. Absolutely. The other thing that we have been seeing a super interesting change with coming to the end of 2022 has actually been the way that we have been marketing. So we used to do a ton of freebies and different, kind of different things like that, like trying to put different freebies or small offers in front of people, like, or under $100, basically, sort of idea. And when we were looking at everything, it was crazy how much was actually coming from workshops, and that being the way that we were able to give people the aha moments they needed to actually take action. And it was this like kind of huge flashlight when we were looking at all of our numbers month over month. It was like, man, these like smaller, under $100 promos or various things are really not helping to deliver the value that people need to, want to work with you and have this aha moment. So we've completely changed our strategy that way. We used to only do 2 launches a year. We would do a launch in July and January, and that was about it. And they were always workshop style. And they always seemed to make quite a big impact and do well. But then we would do like promos throughout the year and different things like that. So we just realized like we're not going to be investing in a bunch of promos each month where we send out various emails and different things like that. I'm completely focused on workshop, like teaching, delivery. And then this month coming up, I am launching a Facebook. Well, I say Facebook group challenge, but really I'm going to call them mini challenges. So I've been studying this guy, Caleb. I can't for the life of me recall his last name, but it was one of those things that Bill was like, you really got to watch this training from this Irishman on like these Facebook groups and whatever. And I was like, all right, only took me like a year to get around to it. And I was like, okay, I guess I can invest into this now. And I watched it and I was like, my mind is blown by how these group challenges are basically like you take a workshop and you chunk it into 4 or 5 days of implementable training. And so the idea is you have a Facebook group and you open and you close it. And you basically, at the end of it, you technically like block everyone from the group. And what that does is it allows you to re-invite them, like if you start another challenge, but it also really creates that urgency that for us, we've always had a free Facebook group and stuff like that. And I know there's lots of people that do find that is something they want to do, but like, where the heck is the sales strategy? Like you're just going to post in there. And anyway, I was getting sick and tired of the whole, like, this does not have a sales strategy. What are we doing with this? Like, we need to, help people have the aha moments they need to move along in the process. So you open and close your group. And to get people in, you would have an opt-in and you would have the 5-day or however many day challenge that you're going to do alongside of it to implement something. And then it's broken into like a 3-day warm-up period, 5 days of training, and then you have your close at the end. So just depending on, it could be about a 12-day period of open and close. And then the other interesting thing with it is you back it also with emails that go out, and you send one in the morning, and then you resend to non-openers in the evening at 8 p.m. with a different subject line. So it's like a very, I like to think of it as easy, just in the sense, I was talking to my team today about it, and a couple of the people on my team were like, Ashley, like, I know that you love this idea, but how are you going to make this bite-sizable? Because my goal is to implement this actually into AMF, the authentic marketing funnel, to give people all the content they would need to run their own challenge every other month. I would say every month that'll be too much. Like that's a lot, especially if it's 12 days, you just need time to have your kind of post recap, what happened and what do we need to do differently in the next one, like, and have that space for that. But I'm really excited about it because I think that it is something that it pushes us to simplify it. If that's how my team's feeling, like it's how are you going to templatize this? I'm like, watch me, just watch. This is happening. This is now. So yeah, those are the two things that have been really working on, like generating, I guess I would call it like generating leads and customers, have been workshops and I'm putting a bet on challenges in 2023. Those would be the kind of the two areas.
I love it. One thing that I had been thinking about and speaking with another business strategist about is, we create these courses, sort of these signature courses, right? And then you have them for purchase in a way as they're evergreen, but then what you do is run, the occasional challenge alongside it so it just gives that real support and accountability to taking people through the course. You're not just buying the course and letting it sit in your email, hoping to do it or starting it and never finishing it. You almost have this incentivized, more belly to belly contact when you are coaching someone through the program as well. So it's an upsell, but it's, and they get more of you specifically and your attention, but it kind of amalgamates that signature course piece with that challenge concept that you're talking about. And I think that there's something there for sure. Helping people implement and getting their wins, I think, is always powerful, and doing something differently is what humanity needs all the time, because we get stagnant and stale in the same stuff. It's not that it doesn't work, it's that it's just not as exciting for us anymore. And in a life that is very routine or very mundane, sometimes we need things to really switch it up and be different.
And that's a really good point, because it's almost like it's a lead magnet on steroids, because it's like, the typical purpose of a lead magnet, you want to see those quick wins right away. And this is just like, I'm going to hold your hand through and, commit to me this time each day. I'm going to make sure you get through all those hoops and be here to answer any questions. And the interesting thing about what actually, again, like Aaron Fletcher does, is when he runs these types of groups, he records obviously all the training he does. That becomes part of his course, like the next course that he's running. So you're like, okay, this is very, very smart. Like being able to kind of stack all those things together. So it's not just a challenge that you're just doing it to do it, but you're able to reuse and recycle all that in its own course.
Smarter, not harder. It's great. And then it can also be put into a vault, which I think we were talking about earlier, where it's then brought out and given as a bonus, or, it's a very exclusive bonus to certain people. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for repurposing content that way.
Yeah, for sure. Are there any trends that you're seeing in terms of lead generation and kind of kicking the ball off with client or customer acquisition, or anything that you're finding has kind of shifted this year?
I mean, I definitely think this year we've seen a massive, push and growth in like Reels. I think we all know that in terms of getting out in front of people. And I mean, ultimately, I think we all know if you're playing in the social media playground, you got to play by their rules. And that's what that's what Instagram's been focused on, is really like pushing the Reels. Like it was once the stories and now it's the Reels. So I think, sometimes we fight these things, or sometimes we think we're too late to the party. But at the end of the day, I just think when it comes to social media, like just be a joiner and join the playground. Like it helps you develop your skills. It helps you, and then you're working with them. I mean, we're using them for free a lot of the time. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to come and I'm going to follow your rules, and then I'm going to get the benefits of that. So I definitely think in terms of getting out in front of more people, what I think that creators like us don't always recognize is we can get caught in making content that on social that drives views, but we cannot forget, like, I think it's nice. It's nice to expand our network that way, but we almost want to think about our reels and our content. It's like, let's get a good reel out that is funny and then gets us out in front of more people. But then the next one really should be that like face to camera training, so that people are getting the value of who you are. I think we used to do it more in stories, but now I think reels is where it's at. It's how people get to know, like, you're a legitimate human with a legitimate something to say, and not just entertainment value. We want, though they convert, I guess is my point. So that's something I've noticed this year, is that it used to be like, oh, let's get all the likes and all the engagement. And now it's like, who cares? You need to be focused on what converts. And it really doesn't matter how many people are following you or how many likes or engagements you're getting on your posts. Because as an Instagram user, as a social media user, I have to remind myself to like people's stuff just to be like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because I forget, right? Again, goldfish memory. We're so busy doing other things. People can't see my hand. My hand typing and liking, we don't always stop. And I think if that's how I'm acting, I have to assume that that's how a lot of people are acting. So we want to recognize that, a shift in the trend of, again, in social media land, of it really doesn't matter what's getting you views. It's what's converting out there for you.
Mm. Yeah, I've talked to quite a few of the group in my mastermind about this, because I think people can get so attached to the end result, and how my views of social media have changed this past year has really more so been about I'm testing different hooks all the time. And if you go and look at your social media, let's say you were looking at reels and you wanted to look at views and engagement, there's the 80-20 rule happening within that of like, what are people engaging with? And we just started to see this trend. And this is probably where actually, I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I'm going to share it here. And I don't even have a glass of wine in hand. So my inhibitions are just, maybe this is what pregnancy is doing to me. It's making me much more honest about things. But we basically were putting out a bunch of stuff with reels and noticing that like a lot of the upline stuff was connecting really well with the audience. And I think it's just because, if you know what an upline is or you don't, like you're either perfect for me or you're not.
Yeah.
I have one of my husband's friends is always like, I always watch your stuff on social media, but I have no idea what's going on or what an upline is. I'm like, that's perfect, Steve. You're not supposed to know. Like,
you're not my target market.
No, you're not. You're the opposite, complete opposite of my target market. So we started to notice trends with these sort of things, like what people were responding to. And we had originally, the title of the book that we released last year, one of our copywriters, he had come up with, it was called Celebrity Magnetism. And everyone was kind of like, okay, what's it called? Like, trying to like understand this concept. And like, sometimes you hear something for the first time and you're like, that was underwhelming. I'm not really sure what to think of that. And so anyways, we get on a call with so the structure of my team is two of the gals are my cousins. Emily's our operations, like VP of operations, and then Sarah's our editorial director. So these are my dad's sister. It's his her daughters, and they're in California. They were at the time. One's in Tennessee now. But anyways, so sometimes we just get on calls and we just it's really fun to just be honest and whatever. And so we get rolling, and so, like I can't remember who said it, if it was Emily or Sarah, but it just came out like, fuck what your upline said. And it was like, that's it. That is the hook. That is the hook. And it was like this kind of like annoying but beautiful process all at the same time, because on one hand, you're like, I just want to like squeeze it to get it right. And like, it just was never going to be right until that aha moment hit of like, that is the pain of like, I'm doing everything that I'm being told and it's not working. Why is it not working?
Yes.
So we completely switched gears, and that's how the book ended up getting called what it was from one of these random meetings. And so anyways, the whole idea of looking at reels as like this testing ground to see what is, because your audience is really the one determining what, like for us, like what words we're using and what things like we need to do more of, instead of like us really leading the charge there. I want to know more of like what's helpful and what do you want more of? And that just really, spun things on its head for us and really pushed us in the right direction.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great hook line. Such a great hook line. It does kind of catch the attention. And I do love a hook line that, you're right, immediately hits your niche, right? And makes it very clear who it's for, who it's not for.
Yeah. And it, what we've actually been able to do is with those reels, like we've got to get kind of back into this. We were doing this really consistently before, but every reel we were creating, it had, I would call it like ad potential. So what I mean by that is that I know it has a great hook. It's got a great body, like in terms of, we're explaining the story, we're, sharing some testimonials, things like that. And then there's a great call to action that actually leads to a place we want people to go. Yeah. So we were doing, and we measure this, actually, it's one of our scorecard metrics, is like, how many posts this week are ad worthy that we could take and have the bones of like a really great ad, but we've seen it kind of go a little bit viral. So we already know it's going to work with our audience, and then we can convert it into an ad. So we've been playing a lot with that this year, like in terms of, playing with ads and reels and things like that.
It's almost like, the trend is recognizing that it's, it is a playground. Like it's an experimenting playground. Like when that's what marketing is, because it has everything to do with the market and very little to do with us and what we're trying. It's like, how do we get out in front of those people? And when you experiment and consistently experiment, then you're getting comfortable with that playground. And then it doesn't matter when it shifts, because it's the same thing. We're just constantly testing.
I've seen some like a couple of the coaches that I'm working with have seen some super interesting things in being able to treat it that way, because you're not afraid to kind of go out of your comfort zone and practice in some different areas. And it's really, I'd love to say there's like, there's this secret formula for like what exactly is going to work for everyone. And the truth is, it's like all these coaches, and what we've seen for ourselves too, is the only formula is to keep doing more of what's working. Like that is the, that is the formula.
Yep. And you have to pay attention to that at the same time. Otherwise you're just not going to get there.
Exactly. And so what would you say that, when you think about the next year, where are you going to be investing and putting your focus, would you say, in 2023?
I think in our landscape, like it's always critical to be investing time and or money on, our own pain points, right? Like our own pain is typically, healing ourselves and fixing our own problems is really like our moneymaker. It's how we help other people do the same thing in whatever that is, right? So, and it doesn't even matter the product or the service. It's like you obviously had a pain there, or you recognized a pain. So always investing in that piece, is really important. So for me in my landscape, that's really consistently investing in my health, consistently investing in better understanding of like hormones and menopause and perimenopause, and what's happening out in the world for women, talking to more women, because that's my niche about that. So there's that piece always. And then I would say, in the other piece is I guess investing more in, I think it's always valuable to invest in people who, if you want to grow your business, and people who can help you do the things that you don't need to do, that you don't need to be doing, so you can get back into being focused on the areas that you do, which is the creating in these right now. I think if the trends are like mini challenges and, signature offers and getting really closely bigger offers with people, how can we make those even more valuable? How can we make those even get more results for people? And so I think if that answers it, that's where I will be investing my time and energy, is like how to better myself so that I can make that area, the part that no one else can do but me, even better, and then just pay other people to do the other stuff.
Interesting. That part about pain points made me remember, I can't remember if it was Brene Brown or somebody, I think it was Brene Brown. And she talks about how raising children is like healing your own trauma.
Yes, I think that is Brene Brown. Yeah.
And it just like clicked to me. Holy smokes. Like an entrepreneur, I feel like raising like and helping people that are like one or two, your ideal customer is usually one or two stages before where you are right now. It's sort of healing that trauma. It's like the things you learn, you're like, okay, I'm going to save you a bunch of time here. Let me just tell you how this gets done properly so that you don't have to go through that trauma that I went through to get here. And that's really, the interesting gift around masterminds and things like that. So I know I was sharing earlier, we've invested in a mastermind this upcoming year, and we've noticed the biggest lever in our business has always been ads and really understanding how do we get in front of more people? Because if we can do that in a cost-effective way and the ads pay for themselves, like that's just how we've seen the most. Yeah. We've just been able to scale so much quicker with that. Like when, you don't have the ability to get in front of new people, that's typically where your business stalls out.
Yeah.
And so I remember a sales coach or one of the guys I used to work with would always talk about leads being like oxygen to your business. Like you just always need oxygen to keep things going.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get to a point where it's a bit freeing, because in the beginning as an entrepreneur, I always felt like it was probably like more childhood related of like, oh, there's like never enough money. This like relation of like, oh, we got to save that. I'll just do it. Like, and just pouring yourself, trying to spread yourself everywhere. I think I've, like finally over the last few years gotten to this point of like, okay, if this person they've already been through the journey I'm about to embark on. They know the way, they know the path, and they can get me actually there the quickest. I know this investment will be like 10 times the value of what I'm paying. So I'm willing to pay that money up front to give me the shortcut to get me there.
Well, and it's logical. It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, if you're going to be an Olympic athlete, you're hiring the best coach that's going to help you get there. If you're going to be, if you want to be a great musician, you're like, people seem to have no trouble spending money in one area, but they forget, like, whether it's in business or whether it's in health, like whatever your values are in your life, if you want to get there faster, pay someone who already knows. Like, why are you spending all your time trying to figure it out and throwing, what was the term you used to say, spray and pray? Is that what you, it's different. Like you're just spraying. It's probably a different image than spraying and praying, but you're like, let me just go out and try to collect all this information. I mean, nobody has time for that. If you want to be great at something, invest in it and get there faster, and it'll pay off in droves.
Yeah, it is weird, eh? Like there's almost like this cultural, I don't know if it's cultural. I'm going to guess that maybe it is, where we think we should be able to just struggle through like the business side of things. Like you should just know how to do all this stuff and automatically be good at it. And if not, then it's not for you. And the same with like health and fitness. It's like, no, just keep struggling through it. Like you'll get it one day. Like if that was our mentality, that would be like, I'm just going to walk everywhere, everywhere. Like I'm not going to drive. I'm not going to fly. I'm going to walk.
Yeah.
It's like, why do we allow that perception of, business, health and fitness, like those things to really be the things that we're like, no, I need to figure this out on my own. I'm just going to, take the long way around. Like,
yes. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so amazing. Like there is a lot of landscape and opportunity for a lot of different types of coaches in all the industries. Cause it's like, look, find a coach who has a life or a business or a body or an energy, whatever it is that you're wanting, and hire that person, because they obviously know how to get there. They got there themselves. Because we all seem to know how to get where we've gotten right now. And if someone else follows that same strategy, I mean, they will get there as well. It's just about the belief, the permission to do it, and then the strategy to get there.
Have you heard much about Joe Dispenza? He is like, okay, I've been binging him lately, and I was really hoping that we would somehow end up talking about him. So I'm glad that this segue is getting us to this, to be able to talk about him. I know I probably talked about this many times actually on the podcast, but it's like worth repeating. Okay. So he was a chiropractor and has become like a neurologist, like just studying how the brain works and things like that. But he got hit when he was running a triathlon when he was like very young, and basically was told by like four different doctors, actually 4 different surgeons, like, you need surgery. This is the surgery you need for your spine to be like, and you're going to have rods in your spine. There's all these things that you're going to be working through for the rest of your life. And he had I think just enough knowledge to be naive enough that like he thought it could be possible that he could heal himself through his mind and his thoughts and his brain and all these like untapped areas of the brain.
Yeah.
And, so he said, no, I'm not going to do the surgery. I'm going to give myself 5 weeks and I'm going to see what I can do. And so he started changing the pathways in his brain with thought. So basically, you sit down to meditate and they say that we think about the same
7% or something of your thoughts are the same every day.
Yeah. It's like 90%. You're thinking the same thing. So how do you change yourself if your thoughts are the same every single day? You only have 10% of your conscious thought that is being guided. The rest of it is all subconscious. So he started to focus on that, thinking like, okay, if I can change my thoughts and I can picture my body healing itself and all these things, that's going to lead me on this path to being able to heal myself. And he basically says it wasn't until thought alone was not enough. Like it was not changing his brain waves or doing anything. It's when he combined the intense emotion of being so grateful that his body had been healed and what that felt like, that the change actually started to happen. And so he had kind of promised the universe, promised whoever your spiritual guru would be, that if this worked, his life's mission would be to help other people change their thoughts and be able to create whatever it was, if they were overcoming disease, manifesting or building the life that they actually wanted. This was his path if this worked. And so he started, after this worked for him, he started studying other people, miraculous healing, and he calls it becoming supernatural. Anyways, it's so fascinating to think that all of this is possible to be changed through the way that we think about things. And in meditation, he basically talks about getting through, you have this like analytical barrier in your brain. And until you're about 6 years old, like once you turn 6, before that, you don't have it. So everything that you learn and you pick up from your surroundings, like you hear money doesn't grow on trees, or, rich people, they take advantage of everyone, whatever it may be. You accept it. And that is running in your operating system, like at a subconscious level. As you're operating in everyday life, all the like 90% is under the surface that you don't really know unless you analyze like what is going on. And the one way that you can get there is either through drugs or hallucinogenics or meditation. Choose your poison, whatever you prefer. But the meditation part is interesting because if you can get to that underlying brainwave level where your brainwaves are slow enough, like getting into gamma waves, they call it, then basically you can start to penetrate beyond that analytical level. So you're not like, kind of stopping the thought process of like, oh, that's not possible. And that you're like breaking beyond that barrier. And so this has been freaking life-changing, like just learning these techniques and different ways to think about, the operating system and how to really create that change where you actually feel, you start to not feel lack because you're not comparing like this time and space of where you are now and where you want to go. If you can recreate these emotions right now of I'm already there, I already feel the gratitude. There's not that space between where you need to get to.
Yeah. And that probably removes a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of the things how do you best consume him? Like,
love that question. Okay. So there's this series called Rewired. So I found my new Netflix is called Gaia, Gaia. And it's like the Netflix of like everything from brain, like the brain to afterlife stuff, like very like out there, but super cool, interesting concepts. So, but you can also get it on YouTube. If you look up Joe Dispenza and you look up, there's a series called Rewired.
Okay.
Like it's been one thing that has been such a gift, I would say over the last, it was really since we went to Seattle to see Keith, our mentor there. And it kind of just reminded me that like, okay, that's when I had a couple of visualizations doing Joe Dispenza meditations in the past. I got to dig into this stuff a little bit more. So anyways, I wanted to share that. I'm really glad we got to talk about that because that was on my mind to make sure we covered today.
I'm so excited. Now I'm excited to listen to that and give it a good Google search and dive into some meditations, because you realize the longer you go through life, like how much mindset plays a role in everything, right? Our own baggage, our limitation, our triggers. And it is the gateway to our growth, right? Are the things that hold us back. So not only are our children, you talked about that earlier, like our children are obviously mirrors of our ability. It's why they drive us so crazy sometimes, is that a reflection of our own baggage or our own past traumas or our own lack of growth. But any relationship is, I think, right? Like, so no matter what, and when you're in business, you're going to be constantly meeting new people, developing new relationships, and they will all trigger something in you. And in order for us to get beyond, it's always what's stuck in our brain. I like that concept of the analytical level. We just need to get beyond that and underneath it.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll add to this or say is just about the one thing that hit really home for me was the fight or flight response that we tend to get into when we, like, I could actually feel all the emotions and make my body release all the chemicals it used to, thinking about sitting in, like my office at Good Life, having to hit a sales number and feeling like, okay, I got like feeling that anxiety and stress. And this is the interesting thing. Our body doesn't know the difference between whether something is happening or whether we're remembering it happening. So this fight or flight response comes from also like sitting in traffic, going on social media, all the things that kind of trigger our bodies to be think we're in danger. And what happens is when you are constantly in that mode, your body can't do anything else but just survive. So this is where like disease and these sort of things, is what Joe Dispenza talks about, come into play, is that you don't have the energy to create or do anything else beyond that. So even the idea of being able to stop and recognize that you're perhaps in fight or flight and start to change those brain waves as it's happening is what helps you not only to create and be in that space. Like you feel so much different when you're in that creative place, but then you can actually, like, he goes real deep. I can't begin to explain how he talks about the energetic fields and whatever else, but it completely makes sense. You're going to attract a different energy when you're in fight or flight and, like, I know myself, like snappy with everything versus being in a state of creation. So anyways, that's
so fascinating, because obviously I study that, but more on like a weight loss hormone level. And like what science has shown us as proof through studies is that when we are in fight or flight, like our body physiologically moves into a preparation for that fight or flight. So not only are we having to just deal with the extra chemical pump of cortisol pumping through our body, so the body can't do the other things, but the metabolism is suppressed and the fat storage is amped up. It doesn't matter what you eat during that time, it will be put into fat storage, whether it's a salad or a piece of cake, because your body needs to keep it in order to prepare for an outcome that's never happening for us, because we're never getting out of that. So it's, it obviously it impacts us on so many levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically.
Wow, that's so crazy. Makes so much sense.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm going to dive in. Thank you for this. I'm excited.
Super cool. Amazing. Well, thank you. I so appreciate this chat today, Bria. And yeah, it's so great to catch up and be talking about, what's to come on the horizon, 2023, and where can people find you and learn more about what you do and all the things you teach around hormones and how to get your hormones in check.
Thank you so much. So probably, anywhere in the podcast life of iTunes or Spotify, you can check out the Period Whisperer podcast, or come check me out on Instagram, Bria_period_whisperer.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bria. I so appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time to level up today. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and grow your health and fitness business, head to my free community on Facebook, Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches, so I can support you every step along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.